Alright, I'm going to be tying a traditional Smoky Mountain nymph pattern. This is called a Tellico Nymph. Originated in the eastern Tennessee, assuming it's named after the Tellico River. And a lot of different ways you can tie this fly. I'm going to start it weighted. You can tie it as a bead head. And the body material is yellow chenille, but I know people who will dub it with yellow fur. There are people that will use yellow floss. So many different recipes. I know that some people for the tail will use golden pheasant tippets, like what I'm going to use. I've seen it tied with fibers from a guinea feather. And then there is a rib that is, the traditional recipe is Peacock Hurl. And I've seen that done with more modern materials, such as a type of woven thread with peacock colors in it, or even green wire. And then, of course, the shellback. The recipe that I'm following uses turkey feather, but it can be done with several strands of peacock. It can also be done with a more modern material such as nymph skin. Now, the tail is going to be a golden pheasant tippet, and I'm going to select a little bit, and I will tie them in at that first black bar. So I have trimmed it, and I want the little black bar right there to be basically at the hook bend. So tied in about right there. And we'll go back here to try to even that up. Next thing that needs to be tied in is the shell back. And like I said, I'll be using a turkey feather. I've already selected some from this, but you're going to pinch off maybe that much and then cut it off. I don't know, anywhere from 8 to 10 fibers. And there is a shiny side and a dull side. I like to tie the shiny side down, so when I flip it over, that's what will be seen on the back. And I'm going to tie the fly in down at the skinny end. And so this is tied in, and it is ready for the finishing touch to be pulled over. I won't need it until then. The next thing I need to tie in is a Peacock Hurl. And this is for the rib, and I'm going to tie it in at the stem end, extending back. And then the final thing to get tied in, I am using sort of a small chenille. And like I said, other things you could use in place of chenille, you can dub this with yellow dubbing. You can use yellow floss. But I'm going to tie it in right here behind the weight. And so basically everything back there is ready to wrap forward. Alright, so wrapping the chenille forward, I don't want to overlap because that will really make it bulky quick. I'm trying to wrap the next wrap right next to the previous wrap. And we'll tie that off. Alright, the next step is going to be wrapping the Peacock Hurl forward as a rib. You can wrap it the same direction that you wrap the chenille, but sometimes it falls in between and kind of gets lost in all that chenille. One way to counter that is to wrap it at more of an angle. Of course, another way is to counter wrap it. That's what I like to do, so I'm going to wrap the rib in the opposite direction. Notice just a slight forward, leaving a space, and that should be good. Tie it off and trim. And I know a lot of fly tiers who at this stage would tie in, go on and do a half hitch that would keep the fly from unraveling on you if something happened. So we'll do that. The half hitch tool, just to keep it from going anywhere. Alright, next step is this fly gets a beard hackle. A lot of people, if you have a rotary vise, you just flip it upside down and tie it in that way. I am using a big brown hen feather. It's going to soak up some water. It's great for a nymph. It looks buggy. And I am just pulling some of the longer fibers. Another way you could do this if you had shorter hackle is to go on and tie it in as a dry fly hackle and wrap it around the hook. It should extend about to where the hook point is. And if you start it on this side, sometimes it's a little bit easier if you do it without turning the hook over. So you tie it in on the side. I can just slide it around where I want it. A couple more wraps, and then I will trim. Get that little piece. There we go. Alright, tidy up the head just a little bit. The last thing to do is to wrap the shell back up and over and tie it down right there behind the head. And then, of course, wrap that in, tie that down good. And I will finish it up with the whip finish. So hook, crook, and pivot. And then I'll do 5 wraps. Pop out, pull up. And there you have a traditional Smoky Mountain Tellico Nymph. And just a little dab of head cement, and this is a finished fly. Alright, Tellico Nymph.